versus Eurasia. I'm not sure what to expect here. We've seen the standard ban in regards to the Superman, Zenial. Now, Zenial has been banned a couple of times, but not recently. Definitely a strong ban, though, right?
It is a strong ban, but like I've stated before, he is a hit or miss champion. You are either going to shine with him or you are going to fail with him. And we've seen both of that fairly enough. So to put him on the bench is a 50-50 marker at this point. And as far as the picks go, it looks like Ryoma is going to be coming out. A very strong pick on their part, but Malik and Teamy are going to be siding on Eurasia, and we've seen how that's going to end up. So the way they're going to answer this, and of course today, like you said, at this point, the games are becoming more variety. So we're seeing more, besides the standard like Zephy's, Malik, Teamy, the usuals, we're starting to see those fillers of other characters coming in here, and it's a good time for them to show off. And like, there it is, Praeta's now coming out.
Yeah, Praeta, we've seen a couple of times already, but definitely not the obvious choice for a mage at this point in the game. Now, we did see a little bit of variety in that last game, but we saw that MA Hexa, they went with the very meta comp, and they had a very dominating performance. This time, we can see that the meta comps, there's a lot of meta hero pickups here. We're seeing the Arthurs, we're seeing the Ryomas, the Zephys, the Teamy, the Malok. Tulan. Now, Tulan is extremely strong and one of the most favored mages over in the EU and NA regions. We've not seen him played that much throughout the last few days.
I actually was expecting at the beginning to see a lot of Tulan, because like you said, he's really popular, and despite the nerfs that he had gotten, he's still very much holding his spot as one of the top mages. And so to see him played out now against Praeta, of all people, is going to be curious, because if Praeta plays his cards right, he can keep Tulan back. But at the same time, if Tulan plays his cards right, he can easily close that distance, get in his face, and do what Tulan does best, and that's burst him down. So that is going to be curious to see. And of course, we are seeing Irie and Lindis coming out on Eurasia's side. Irie's been played a lot more here. And, of course, it looks like this time we're not being trolled. She is going with the Punish build. So I am curious to see how she's going to build her up there. But for them to be running it like that, they are looking at that fast team comp, the get-in, get-outs. And to face off against Kimochiii here is going to be quite a challenge, because we're seeing Ryoma, Praeta, Mina, Arduin, and Zephys. That's a pretty hard stopper. And we already know who the key players are. Of course, we're focusing on Praeta and Ryoma, the two damage types that you want to get in there. So depending how Mina, Arduin, and Zephys play this off, they could hold that back. But they've got to go against a lot of mobility in this game.
Yeah, a lot of what these mages will be looking for. Tulan will be looking to try and bait out that Disciple of the Plague, that ultimate that comes out from Praeta, where he generates that huge amount of shield. His cooldowns drop significantly. And if they can get that out of the way, that's going to leave a much more vulnerable Praeta in the mid lane. So looking to capitalize on those situations are going to be key. There's a lot of big cooldowns at work here. Like I said, you've got Disciple for Praeta, but then you've got things like Being a Bro for Teamy that they're going to need to get out of the way before you can have a successful team fight. With those staying up, you're going to really struggle to close in on those targets and really get the kills and the carries that you're looking for.
So again, we're going to have our nice traditional pause coming in here, but I am going to side with the Teamy side in terms of aggression. They're most likely going to go for the invade. Although there's Zephys and Praeta them going into it, invading doesn't seem like a wise choice. They should just hold the line. But if they do go in, their best chance is to go in together about one side. Now, another strategy we haven't seen here, but we should talk about, is a little bit of the split objective pushing in an invade. So there's a lot of varieties from a 3 to a 2 to a 4 to a 1. But depending on which side is being picked on, usually a buff will be taken, and if you do one of those strategies, you can make things a little more creative, at the same time still get objectives. It's a pretty good strategy, but I have not seen that played yet at all.
Yeah, definitely a popular strategy. It'll be interesting to see if we do see that actually come into fruition at any point in this game or any future games. At this stage, though, very kind of aggressive play coming out from the Teamy and Malok there from EurasiaSuperfly, making their way into the enemy jungle. Lindis, meanwhile, on the red buff is going to be securing that for blue buff will be securing that for herself. But if you look towards the enemy jungle, you can see Teamy and Malok doing a significant amount of damage. They've been there a while already, and that buff hasn't gone yet, but this could be a kill going over as well. That's a lot of damage coming down onto the Arduin, and that will be Lindis picking up first blood there for the Eurasian side. Great play there. And that will mean that that buff goes back over to the enemy side. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I apologize. Zephys will have both buffs by this point as well. So he managed to keep that buff. We see now kind of a bit more of a traditional lane situation happening down on the bottom here. We see the duo lane with the Lindis and the Malok, but that's only to push the wave out before they start roaming and looking for more kills.
You know, and as I predicted, I did tell you that Team Day were going to get aggressive, and that's exactly what they did. They didn't really fall through on getting the buff, but they did get a kill. So a pretty even trade to start things off here. Zephys, already knowing that the pressure is going to be on, he has to keep himself on his toes and try to get things going. And it does look like Mina's trying to stick around and see if something can happen. For good caution, as you can see, there's about 3 people near that mid lane, which could cause some issues. So Mina's playing it safe. She's being a great ward. And that was another thing I did mention, is supports acting as walking wards. Very good for the team, lets them know, and if they are in voice chat, they can make these callouts being like, someone's on red, someone's on blue, someone's on sentinel, and through that you can actually see they are going to try to make plays right now.
Yeah, and without being a bro being available, that's going to leave a very vulnerable teammate to go down to the side of Kimochiii, as Kimochiii pick up a kill there. But we do see the Irie picking up a kill there for Eurasia as well. So return fire does mean that both teams will back up. But with Sage Golem still available, Leap will manage to secure that with the punish there before it can be stolen away. We saw as well Prey, when he fires out those Spectres, he needs to be able to get to the full charge of that Spectre to deal decent damage at this point in the game. He doesn't have the itemization available at this point, but in the late game, the AoE damage that a Praetor can put out will be significant, and those team fights can literally be shaped and changed simply by landing that on the right people. If you can manage to do that in the late game, you are going to see some absolutely disgusting AoE situations in combination between the Mina and the Praetor. I've seen it firsthand. So with both these teams already putting in quite aggressive performances, it'll be interesting to see what happens now with that Abyssal Dragon up and available. Both these teams literally kind of reacting to each other. But what do you think will be the key moment for either of these teams? Is there an objective or a scenario or a strategy that these guys can employ whilst we, to try and actually get that snowball rolling and separate themselves from the enemy side?
Well, one of the dangerous things that we've actually seen on Preda, and this is one of his most common builds, is, believe it or not, an attack speed build, which includes Devil Handshake. Some people would actually do a nice little what face by now and be like, what's going on here? But, of course, Devil Handshake would be a last item, but if you combine that with, I believe, Zweihander and a few others, Preda can then take the time that he would take to charge up his one ability. He doesn't have to anymore. He can actually just take his time to burst them down and just use basic attacks and run through that. But that is if he can get to the late game like you were talking about. Besides that, though, there is a huge hole gap. Now, what we are seeing, though, is that Lindis they're being aggressive, but failing to get the buffs. Like, she'll always get there, but it doesn't seem like she's able to execute a good a portion out into those, and so she just falls back. So she is putting pressure, but Zephys is still keeping a hold of his buffs. So if we look at this, Lindis is doing okay, but she definitely, if she is going to go for those objectives, wants to do better if she wants to get fed and help her team out here. Tulin doing his best in middle, and he's honestly just doing great with the poke that he has available to him. And Irie, she's just going about what Irie does, the split push that he has. And Ryoma seems to be having a little bit of difficult time against her, which is a little curious to see, as most times Ryomas can push Irie's back. Yeah,
and we did see during that situation, kills traded out across the board, but the majority of them falling in favor of EurasiaSuperfly. And during that point, we did see Being a Bro be used. So that is now on cooldown. And they are kind of aware that we saw some aggressive play in that mid lane from Teamy, trying to get a little bit damage down onto the enemy. But now with a 6-3 kill lead, EurasiaSuperfly, they've got to be starting to feel a little bit confident. They've taken their first objective of the game. They're leading in kills, and they have a slight 2k gold lead, which, it might be slight at this early stages, but it is early. And any gold lead, it's getting to that point where 2k is an item, and that one item difference in these team fights across the board can be significant.
Yeah, that's another thing. Going back to items, we haven't talked too much about it, but it's one of those situations where you can see here there's actually a team fight already breaking out. Zeph is them keeping the pressure now, and it does look like Eurasia might have messed up in the rotation just a tiny bit there. Enough. Wait, no. Malik is able to correct that, though, with that good shock that we've seen coming out. Still positioning a little iffy here, but by the time Malik's coming in, he's shredding everyone out, and Tulin's going to make his way back to see if he can correct this problem. Teamy's going to get back in there. He just has enough health to rock it, and there it is. Malik, perfect timing where he was. They were completely out of position. They messed up on a whole scale. But he was able to correct it with one shock. That's all it took. And Teamy and the rest of the team was able to come back through that.
Yeah, Teamy did use Being a Bro relatively early there, and it meant that Don, he thought Don was going to go down on that Tulin, but Tulin managed to get himself out of the way, but that meant that that was on cooldown. During that whole process, Teamy actually got very, very low, but still stuck around trying to land those clutch pooty poots and get those stuns off on the enemy, and it worked really well, managing to get away with a little bit of health. Did almost die to a Spectre on his way out, actually, but managed to get a bit lucky with that. You can see there that Don is still very low in that mid lane and is going to have to dash himself away. But now Zil is stuck in the mid side, surrounded by Kimochiii members, does manage to just get himself away. They're not going to be overly aggressive at this point in the game. They know they're behind. They know that the opportunity for EurasiaSuperfly to really push themselves ahead is there. They have set up an ambush in this bush, and Zell looks like he's going to be the target. But again, one simple, the awareness and the presence of Lindis was enough for them to suddenly pull back. They don't want to give up any silly kills or get involved in a team fight where they know they're going to be outnumbered. They are playing it smart, but playing it smart and then playing it too passive are two dangerously close things. And you can see here again another catch by Kimochiii. But again, they get a member of EurasiaSuperfly low, and then they can't finish it off before a kill then goes over to Lindis. Really, they're really struggling to land these kills and to finish these team fights properly.
Well, so what's happening here is that they are aware, they are trying to get these picks. They're getting very good picks, but one person scares them off. And for a very good reason. You exactly saw there, Lindis was able to come in and clean that up. They have Malik. What Malik did to them the first time, it was kind of like a bait and switch there. And the pressure that they're doing, it's now making Kimochiii think, like, we'll commit to this, but then if one person shows up and wait, we're getting low, we should pull back. And so it's kind of hindering their teamwork of what they're trying to do or who they're going after. And of course, we were talking about that mobility, them being able to run away from Kimochiii is making that much easier as well. And then also to go back on the topic that I almost lost my thought on, it was the items. Items is, for sure, like, items don't make the game per se or the player, it still comes down to skill, but it helps out a lot. And some people do forget about that.
Yeah, we saw Dark Dominion use really well there, managing to secure that kill, pull Malik under tower, and that will give a kill over to the Kimochiii side, their fourth of the game. Not going to be enough to pull them back in the game, but with Malok down, it does allow them to have that little bit of confidence and a little bit more free reign as they roam around. No Abyssal Dragon for them to take, unfortunately for them. Managed to pick up a kill like that, and having something like Shock not be something they have to worry about would have been a key time to go for that Abyssal Dragon, but it's on 50 seconds cooldown still. You saw the poke there from Lindis onto Prey on that Praetor. Conveniently, playing Praetor is a great name and hero matchup. So I kind of get it right regardless. But Prey, he's dropped to 2/3 health just by a couple of auto attacks from Lindis with that ultimate as well. Those easy pokes. You saw Zell use his poo-poots there. Noxious Blast used by the Praetor. That will be a catch out by the Roma. Good stun from him. Good damage coming down, but it's all landing on Teamy, leaving Lindis on the backside, freely raining to just rain in that damage as well. And that's a Tulin picking up a kill as well. Zell, the only one low at this point. Don's still relatively healthy, sitting on half health. But you can just see the knock up there from Arduin. Arduin have to use his ultimate to get himself out of dodge. But there's no tower there to the top. He's going to have to fall back all the way to the high ground tower just to keep himself safe as Zell backs out. You can see, meanwhile, Tulin on the mid lane pushing at mid, and you can see Malok on the bot side managing to secure that bottom objective as well. So amazing play there, and even a kill picked up there by Lindis onto the Roma. Look how low Zell is on his health. It's just about to become visible again. Pooty Poots being used just in case someone decides to get a little bit aggressive, but he will have to get out of there, and he's going to back now. But that was a huge objective swing, and great work there from the EurasiaSuperfly team.
So we're seeing the common mistake again on Kimochii's side, where they actually, so this time they were going for bush tactics, something we also are starting to see a little bit more of. And as much as people laugh at that, it does work. You know, there's times where you have to do that. You sit in the bush, you wait, and make something happen. However, it's working against them because they are focusing on people in front of them, and they're leaving that Lindis wide open. And if you do that, especially for Lindis, she will just come in and clean you up, as you keep seeing every single time. And of course, fighting in the jungle, just a bad spot with Lindis in general. But what Kimochiii has to do right now to recover from this is, of course, as always, pay attention to Darkslayer. That's going to be coming into mine at this point. But besides getting aggressive, and they're trying to do a little bit, they're doing like a passive-aggressive play right now. They need to try and find a way around it, work around these guys mobile, like you said, maybe get being a bro out of there immediately so they can work off of it. And then once that's set for them, actually go for the carries. That is going to be their key win condition here.
They definitely need to eliminate those carries. We did see the third Abyssal Dragon going in favor of EurasiaSuperfly there. That is an afterthought at this point for Kimochiii. They couldn't get anywhere near that, but now we see an aggressive team fight breaking out in the middle of the jungle. Shock is used. Huge knock up there across the board. Lindis, meanwhile, on the back line, doing some serious damage. Does manage to pick up a kill for EurasiaSuperfly, forcing the rest of Kimochiii to flee in fear as they head back towards their towers. And that is the go sign for Darkslayer as EurasiaSuperfly head towards their next objective. It's going down fairly quickly here as we see more items falling in favor of EurasiaSuperfly. They are going to be going into this scenario pretty good, but can the Ryoma get it? Still not quite. Yeah, he was there. He wanted to try for it, but it was a little bit too late, and it's going to cost him his life, and it might cost Arduin's as well. Arduin not in a position to get out of here. The unfortunate situation with Arduin, his ultimate does afford him some mobility, but if there is an enemy or a minion in the way, it will go only as far as them. You have to throw it into space. So with the ESF team surrounding him, he couldn't go anywhere there, and that will be a high ground tower taken. And this could be game here as the entire team are pushing. Zell, the only one low, again, playing a great support. It does actually flicker away and get himself out of dodge. Won't be picked up by the Spectre. And you can see, meanwhile, Tulen managed to secure another kill. Is going to have to back and get out of there because there is no wave to help him. And Prey and Ryoma are now available, and they will just shut him down nice and easy. But the rest of his team, still with the Slayer buff, will be turning their attention back to mid lane now. This is really good use of the Slayer buff coming out from EurasiaSuperfly.
They waste no time. When they get an objective, they're going to put it to good use. Sadly, Tulin did realize he took a wrong turn, and so he kind of just stood there and took it for what it was worth. But he does know that his team's going to go back out and get those objectives. So losing that one part of him, he'll come back just as strong. But if you're noticing that they're getting in there and the damage that they're putting out is just huge. It's literally, even Arduin them can't take this. Mina is getting shredded. And because of this, it's setting them back quite a lot. You know, of course, and you saw there on the Darkslayer part, Ryoma was on the right track. What happened was he split-second hesitated. And that hesitant motion that he did cost him. And then when he decided to go in, he actually ended up missing and ran into the wall instead. And then, as you can see, it just led up to this moment.
Again, you can see a focus there onto Lindis. That is the right target, but immediately you saw the shot come down in defense just to force them away. That combined with the Pooty-Poots, you did actually see the team pick up a kill there. Praetor trying to do what he can to deal damage, but that is a legendary Lindis that he's dealing with now, and those Spectres are starting to fly out as much as possible. Disciple has been used by Praetor, but it won't be enough to keep him alive if they decide to go in here, but Slayer buff has vanished. They have got a wave top, but everyone is sitting fairly low on health, and Praetor, if you're going to have anyone to try and defend a lane, it would be him. Spectre is going to catch most of the wave, but it isn't going to manage to catch all of them, and that will be ESF pushing in hard onto this tower. They have no wave here, so Praetor can deal significant damage. This might be a clear up for Praetor here. They're going to have to get themselves out of it. EurasiaSuperfly dropping like flies as Praetor pushes in and does a great job of defending the tower there. Gives Kimochiii that small ounce of hope that they need to maybe give this one more shot as they try to defend and hope for the next Slayer buff to fall their way.
And exactly as you just said, if there is anyone you'd like to leave on defense, you know, picks like Jinnar, and in this case, Prado, very strong for that moment. And I think at that point, Eurasia got a little overconfident, and especially because Lindis was missing from that fight, they weren't able to get on the tower. And the only one who would have been able to like do about equal damage would have been Irie. Irie was busy trying to get on that Prado, which wasn't a bad idea, but because of that, that set them up for a bad part, and there was no minions nearby, allowing Prado to then ult and clean that up and allowing them to just keep that there. And that little hope is what you like in these kind of games, you know, instead of giving up or being like, this is it, you want to keep trying, because like you said over and over again, there is in AOV, there is that split second, there is that moment, and if you can cover it, you may have a chance of winning. So definitely don't give up, even if you're in this situation.
Yeah, us as Arena of Valor fans, as viewers, as casters, we live for those moments, those exciting 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4 moments in defense of your base. And it still, like I said, it does give them that element of hope. If they can turtle, if they can defend, if they can keep these waves pushed out without losing too many people in the process, they can potentially get the next Slayer. And if they do manage to secure that and win a decent team fight with the time that it will take for people to respawn at this later stage of the game, it's getting to the point where it could necessarily be just one good team fight, and that could be a win, if not 3 towers taken quite easily. Shock is going to be used on this mid tower to try and secure this high ground tower. We can see decent amount of damage. Good group up there from the Mina there. Does manage to pull everyone in. Dark Dominion was used as well, but she is going to go down for her effort. Tulin picking up the kill there. We see great damage coming out there from the side of Kimochiii. Kimochiii chasing them down, and Leap is going leaps and bounds ahead as he picks up a double kill towards that Tulin. ESF Buck now going to be forced to back as the only one alive for the EurasiaSuperfly team. Meanwhile, Prey will be left to defend the base, and oh my god, what a great fight there for Kimochiii.
And this was exactly what we were talking about, the moment of hope, and they just capitalized on that, and now they should be able to get a tower for this. Of course, the Irie is coming up. Now, as much as Irie, I would say on a defensive position, depending what she does here, she is going to come out with that ultimate. Zeph is going to be the first one focused down. Look at the damage she is producing with her. Arduin trying to protect Zephy's, working against them. So I take that back. As much as I thought Irie would be able to defend, surprisingly, the AoE damage she was able to get off is pushing them back and shredding them to bits. And, you know, going back to Irie being one of those underestimated characters as well, it's like, she's not bad, but depending on how you build her, and like we just saw there, the damage, she can shred you for quite a lot, and that ultimate alone with that stun gives her enough time to add to that damage. And this Irie knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, I think an element of Irie's kit that a lot of people do underestimate is the fact that that stun is AoE as well. When you can have a team fight where a team has managed to stun maybe 2-3 people, and you can get in and follow up that stun, that is a good sort of 2-3 seconds of time that the enemy can do nothing for if you can manage to land it well. Zell here in the mid lane, putting his way around, but you can see aggressive play now, a little bit of confidence in the side of Kimochiii. They're feeling good after these recent team fights. They know they've got themselves to a good place, and they're going to try their hardest to manage to do this, but they are under tower. Shock was used, and tower will get destroyed meanwhile by Irie, and you can see that the whole of the ESF team falling very low now. Leap on the backside. He is Zephyr's though, and he will get tankier the lower his health gets, but he'll fall regardless, and now it's going tit for tat here. Both sides getting very low, but that is a healthy looking member of ESF as Joms goes in doing what he can, and he's got a teammate to back him up as well. Prey's trying to do what he can to deal damage. He's going to try and get himself out of dodge, but that isn't going to stop the Malok falling as well. And Prey now the sole survivor, not for much longer as the dragon falls. Dragon Slayer Joms will take that kill as well. That's a double kill. In fact, that'll be a triple kill going over to him with that Prey to pick up. And this is going to be game going over to EurasiaSuperfly as the wave makes its way towards the base of Kimochiii. Kimochiii, a Valiant defense from the Valiant region, but it won't be enough as the rest of the ESF team slowly make their way towards that base with those Winions. Well played to both sides, but EurasiaSuperfly will pick up this win. GG.
And Kimochiii doing that great job. At the end of it, they actually had that final team fight, and they were looking for it. They were probably excited for it. And what happened in it was the positioning fell apart the moment Irie got in the back line, because now they're thinking, wait, now we've got someone behind us. Wait, they're coming in front of us. Preda is frantically trying to, he's trying to help the team. Of course, he's treating the majority in the front. That's the best he could do, especially with the kit that he has. But Irie was able to get that Zephyrus out of the way, and after that, they were able to close it. They did take out the majority of the team, but not enough to take care of Teamy and Malik at the end of it. And Preda, of course, with the kit that he has, wasn't able to run away. But overall, a fantastic game coming out for both of them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the early game, obviously, it went extremely in favor of EurasiaSuperfly. They did a great job of snowballing as hard as they could, but we cannot take away from that defense was just so significant coming out from Kimochiii. And it was great to see. It made the game far more enjoyable as a viewer and as a caster, and you could really see the confidence building in them